says British actions with the United States have made it an untrustworthy negotiating partner. Are we seeing the United Kingdom gradually follow the United States out of the JCPOA? Thank you.
So, Rich, let me take your two questions. The first one is President Trump's and this administration's strategy with respect to North Korea haven't changed. Our effort is to achieve the full final denuclearization of North Korea. We are hopeful that in the coming weeks we'll get back to the negotiating table to achieve that. We watch the actions that they're taking, the actions that are taking place inside of North Korea, and we are mindful that when we came in there was nuclear testing taking place. That has not occurred. There aren't long-range missiles being fired. Those are both good things. Now the task is for us to deliver on what the two leaders agreed to back in June of last year in Singapore, and we're fully focused on that, and we are planning for negotiations in a couple of weeks, and we anticipate the two teams getting back together. We hope that they can achieve this, not just for the United States and North Korea, but for the entire world. This is an objective that I know Dominc shares, as do all of the other partners that I was with in ASEAN just this past week. I haven't seen the IG report on ISIS, but this administration is incredibly mindful of the success we've had versus ISIS and the challenge that it continues to present to the world. And President Trump has made clear and every time I've talked to him about it, every time I've seen him speak publicly, we understand that the threat from terrorism, more broadly than just ISIS, continues to exist in the world. And we're doing all the right things, including building out a coalition like the Defeat ISIS coalition with dozens and dozens of countries from all around the world to counter that wherever we find it. So I'm sure it's the case that there's pockets where they've become a little stronger. I can assure you there are places where it's become weaker as well.
These North Korea missile launches, do you feel as though it's dampening the environment for discussion with North Korea?
No.
Well, thank you. On JCPOA, we continue to want to make the deal work, and more broadly, I would just say de-escalate tensions so far as we can. But in the context of the maritime issue, it's absolutely imperative to uphold freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, but also more generally. And on the issue of trust, this is a question of sticking to the rules-based international system. We're all bound by those rules. It's not an EU issue or European issue. It's not a US issue. It is a global issue and about the basic norms of the international community.
Neil Connery.
Thank you. Foreign Secretary, how realistic do you think the chances are of meaningful negotiations with the European Union in the next few weeks? Do you agree that we have now reached a point where there is nothing that can stop a no deal if it comes about? And Secretary of State, as the US government is one of the guarantors of the Good Friday Agreement, how concerned are you that we are now just a matter of weeks away from a potential no-deal Brexit, given its impact for the whole of the island of Ireland? The Chief Constable of the Police Service of Northern Ireland says that a hard Brexit would be absolutely detrimental to the peace process. Is he wrong?
So first of all, there is a deal to be done. The Prime Minister has expressed that to our European partners, but I think if the EU's position is that there can be no change to the withdrawal agreement, then that will be a choice that they've made, and that makes it very difficult to see how we can move the negotiations forward. But from the UK side, we will strive every sinew to find and secure a deal, if it's possible, under terms that would be acceptable to the UK, and the Prime Minister has talked about that a little bit. I think also should be clear that in any no-deal scenario, we'll do whatever it takes to avoid any hard border between the North and the Republic. And I would also point out that our view is that the withdrawal agreement, as currently configured, is a threat to the Good Friday Agreement itself. So that's where we are right now. But of course, in terms of Brexit, we've also got the wider issues of the opportunities, and that's why I was out in ASEAN last week talking to a whole range of our Asia-Pacific and wider global partners, and why it was a great pleasure to be here in DC, but we were in Canada yesterday and in Mexico later on this week. So there are also opportunities as well as those risks. So we will manage the risks, come what may. We will leave at the end of October, and we're determined to make a success of it.
I don't have much to add to that. In the sense of this is a sovereign decision made by sovereign nations, the United Kingdom and the nations of the EU. They'll sort this out. As for the Good Friday Agreement, an important agreement, I am confident that whatever resolution is achieved, we'll still be able to achieve the fundamental premises that were contained in that Good Friday Agreement. I am confident that whatever place the parties land, that we'll be successful at that. Great. Thanks, everyone.
Good to see you.